Hi everyone, welcome to the Fight with Teddy Atlas. I'm Teddy Atlas III, and as always, joined by Hall of Famer, the toughest man I know, my father, my main man, Teddy Atlas. How you feeling, bud?
Good. All the people out there, let's get it out of the way. First of all, I want to thank you for staying. You know, you came in from Vegas with your beautiful son, your beautiful wife, with our family here. We had a birthday party for little Teddy the Fourth. He's going to be 7 this month, but we celebrated it a little early. Being that we had him here, we had just a great day. All you family, all your parents out there, if you want another little tip on a great birthday party accessory, get the bubble machine. They pump out these bubbles. I got it from my very dear friend John LaRocca, who I saw had it for his son, had it for his son, and it was terrific. I mean, the bubbles get like 4 feet high. Forget about it. I mean, you gotta keep your eye on the kids. They disappear in the bubbles, but you got to make sure the parents are paying attention a little bit, or somebody is. But it was a great day, and you stayed here extra. I had surgery, right? We talked about that last week. We don't want to make a big deal about it. The surgery went well. I want to thank Dr. Stewart and his staff at Cornell Presbyterian Hospital in Manhattan. They couldn't be better. Just great people. Obviously, very good at what they do, and they've. I think my nose is going to be fixed. I think once I get these stents, I have stents in my nose right now. I'm going to get them out tomorrow. You can't tell. I'm gonna breathe better, and I'm breathing maybe a little better now, even though these things are in my nose. So I'm not there yet, but I will be. And again, I thank everybody. I thank all of you. Thousands, not even hundreds. My son was showing me, telling me of people that sent their wishes, their love, their prayers for a successful surgery, and thank you because it's appreciated very much. And I also, a lot of you sent happy birthday wishes. That secret got out a little bit. That it was I think that guy over there let it out of the bag. But we had a nice birthday party with my family, nice birthday dinner. Actually, the night before the surgery. No better way to celebrate your birthday than going out the night before you go in for surgery. Nothing better. I recommend it for everybody, you know. And just, that's it. I'm thankful. And I want to send condolences out to Don Albaum and Tommy Brooks' families. We lost two special people in boxing. Don Albaum, a special friend, 40 years, and a great promoter. I mean, he promoted Aaron Pryor, so many great fighters. Simon Brown, welterweight champ. I actually trained Simon Brown for 5 title defenses when he was welterweight champ of the world. And Don Albaum was the promoter. I got very close to Don over 45 years, 40 years, whatever it's been. He used to send $10 to my son, Teddy the Third, every time he got an A on his report card when he was a little kid. And you don't forget things like that. You don't forget people like that. Don Albaum was a character. He was one of those classic boxing characters. The sport will not be as good, as entertaining, as fun as it was with him in it. It won't be. There's no doubt about it. He started as a matchmaker when he was 15 years old. So boxing really was his life. And I miss him. And boxing will miss him. And Tommy Brooks, tremendous trainer, part of the Duva family, married to Lou Duva's daughter, Donna, did a terrific job, worked with many top fighters, terrific job, but not only a terrific job as a trainer, but a gentleman, always a gentleman, always. And, what better boxing family than the Duva family? I mean, that's up there with the greatest boxing families of all time. And Tommy's part of that family, and Tommy was a terrific amateur fighter. He beat Michael Spinks in the amateurs. So Just a big loss. A big loss for boxing with those two people leaving. But we celebrate them in a way of remembering them and honoring them in that kind of way of talking about them and talking about how they're going to be missed. So without further ado, I think that we give it to this man right here. And I thank you again, Bud, for not only staying here for that extra time. Your family flew back today. You stayed because you want to make sure I'm okay all the way through, getting the stints out of my this shanola, what the old time is called, the old shanoos, the old shanola, whatever the hell it was. The schnoz. We got to get that done. But I want to thank you for letting me do the show today. I had to argue with you a little bit about even allowing me. You were babying me a little bit, not to do the show. I told you, I gave you my word that the greatest elixir in the world is work. Doing what you love, doing what you enjoy, and being with the people you enjoy, being with your family, being with your friends, being with this audience. That again, your love and your care is so much appreciated. Let's talk boxing. Bang, bang, bang. Let's go.
Yeah, and I'll just say this: as you thank me, I'm thankful for you. You continue to lead by example and show me the things that a father should teach his son. And the easy thing would have been today to not do a show, or maybe this week. But that's not what we do. That's not what you do. So thank you. And again, thoughts and prayers with both the Duva family, Tommy Brooks family, and of course the Elbaum family. So we'll get right into it. There wasn't a lot of fights this week, but the fights we did have, they delivered, and it was quite the action. We're going to start off in the boxing world. It was in Chicago. That was a Golden Boy show that was on DAZN. The co-feature was two former world champions, two southpaws, and two guys on the back end of their careers in Regis Prograis and Joseph Diaz. And this was an unbelievable fight. We always talk about styles make fights. We know the style of Diaz. He's going to bring it. He's going to come forward. He's going to pressure you. And Prograis, who used to be a slickster and a boxer and using movement at 36 years of age and the legs not quite what they used to be, made it for a much more entertaining fight. I thought of what you've said in the past in regards to guys like Roy Jones. When they break all the rules and the speed slows down and the reflexes slow down, you don't get away anymore with some of those bad habits. I thought that came into play big time in this fight. Both of these men had their moments, super close, could have went either way. Either guy could have nicked it by a round. I would have been okay with a draw. In the end, they gave a unanimous decision. Regis Prograis, he wins, back in the win column. I have a problem with the 98-92. We could get more into that in a second, but just want to hear your thoughts on the decision and this great fight that we had.
Yeah, I would have been happy with a draw. I would have been happy with Diaz by a point. I'm happy with Prograis by a point. Neither guy really deserved to lose the way that they put it all out there. First point I'll make is this, is they're beyond their best. These are guys that are older in their career. They've been in a lot of tough fights. It's like an Ali Frazier in the Thriller Manila. I'm not comparing them to those icons. Don't get crazy. But stay with me on this. That was a great fight in the Manila fight, the Thriller Manila. Part of it was because both fighters were not the same fighters anymore physically, athletically. Their best was gone. It was left in rings all over the country, all over the world, parts of them. And what you saw in the Thriller Manila was their courage, their character. Character don't get old. Speed gets old. Reflexes get old. Timing gets old. Physical traits get old. But character don't get old. It stems to the test of time. It passes the test of time. It stays. And when you got former world champions with Prograis and Diaz, both are, that's what gets left when they are beyond their best as athletic athletes, as physical competitors. When those tools start to erode, and they have eroded, when they start to erode, then all you're left with two former champions is that. their base, their core, their character. And that's what made it a great fight. And I think the commentators, I love the commentators. They're good. I like them. I like them as people. They're good. But when you start saying they're not done, you're going down a slippery slope. You're going down a slippery, dangerous slope in this business because they are not at their best. Yeah, they had a great fight, but against each other, against two guys that have diminished in their abilities, two guys that were evenly diminished, I think it's fair to say. From a physical standpoint, you're going to get the truth here. Bad nose or no bad nose. I don't give a freak, And their character made it a great fight. Their experience, their intestinal fortitude, what they are. But be careful when you say, oh, they still got a lot left, or they're not done. Be careful what you say, because you put them in there with young, vibrant fighters now, and you're going to see how fast you might realize you were wrong. So all I can say is terrific careers to both of them. I hope they know when it's the right time to get out. But it was a terrific fight. No doubt about it. There was some elements to it that were strange at best with the doctor, right? But that doctor. First of all, that decision, that judge, that scorecard that you just mentioned, that guy should be suspended. Again, we're on the suspension thing again. He should be suspended. If we had a national commission, and I had anything to do with it, or at least with the criterion of it, he would be called in Monday morning to explain that, and then explain to him that you're being suspended. You're gonna be suspended for a while. You got time to think about it, time to get better, time to work and being a better judge. But you did a poor job. And it's bad because you're putting fighters at risk. They're taking more risks than 95% of the people in this world because of their craft and their vocation, and you're putting them in more risk by robbing them, and then because they get robbed, they got to come back and fight again and face all those punches again, where maybe they wouldn't have. Maybe they would have been closer to that exit door when the exit door starts to call for them. So, and that doctor, suspend him. That's my man. I got my man Richie here with me, and of course, we got Bennett doing the editing, and Bennett, I'm sure he's going to get up and match what I'm about to say, match my words with pictures. That commercial, you guys have all seen that commercial out there, right? Where they talk to the doctor, they said, and the guy's doing surgery, and somebody says to him, you're a doctor? And he says, no, not really. He said, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Okay, folks, close him up.
You're not Dr. Stewart.
No. But I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
This guy should get that, but he's a doctor, unfortunately. I don't know how, but he should get that commercial, really, where, you're doc, you're in the corner, and first of all, you have a flashlight looking at this little cut. It was not the Grand Canyon. He was looking at it like, it was one of these horrific cuts. It wasn't. And he's with a flashlight. He's putting his glasses on. He's looking at it. I thought he was getting ready to go into freaking surgery. And then what does he do? It's almost like, and I know I'm taking a shot here, but it's almost like he wanted attention. Like this was his moment. First time, I don't know how many fights he's done. It didn't seem like he did that many. But it's like he wanted to bask in that moment. He didn't want to let go of it. Then all of a sudden he's holding up the fight, and then he says, "Okay, how many fingers do I get up?" You can't make this stuff up. It was like a comedy routine. Who's on first? With Abbott and Costello. He says He says, how many fingers? And he's got one finger up, and Diaz says 2. And then he says, okay, now how many do I have? He puts 2 up. Diaz says 1. And then he says, okay, he's good. Why do you even give him that test? I give credit to the commentator who said that. He said, why do you give him that test if he's going to give you the wrong answer? Really, then you have to stop the fight. And I'm glad they didn't stop it because it would have been wrong. But I'm just saying, if you do that test and you ask those questions and he gives you in the middle of a fight those answers, you got to say something's wrong here. And you got to stop it. So why did he even go down that road? Again, I don't know. Maybe the guy was, he was looking for more attention. He never had this kind of moment before. He is not qualified to be a ringside doctor. I don't know how he is in his, regular practice. Maybe he's a terrific doctor. Maybe he is. I'll tell you one thing. I'm thankful that he doesn't give out sobriety tests. You know what I mean? Thankful for that. Could you imagine this guy giving a sobriety test, God forbid, to somebody DUI and saying, oh, okay, how many fingers I got? 20. All right, go ahead. You're good. Go ahead, Go ahead, get back on the road. I mean, it's just really, I thought I was watching a skit from Living Color. With the Wayman brothers. It would be funny if it wasn't serious.
No, absolutely. I'm thankful he was not the doctor who did your surgery last week.
Oh, I am too, because I wouldn't have a nose right now.
It makes me, you nailed it. I mean, that was ridiculous. I've never experienced and seen that before with a doctor. Like you said, I think it was Tom Grisham, the commentator. Well, why are you asking him? If you're just going to allow him to fight. Where it was scary was Diaz is a honest fighter, and he's a tough son of a gun. The way he behaved, he did not want a way out. So that tells me maybe he really couldn't see, and he was really just gutting it out going out there. And I agree. Again, why we need a national commission overall to regulate, not just this doctor, but again, to piggyback off of what you said, the scorecard. Mike Fitzgerald, 98-92. It didn't happen. It's 8 rounds to 2. Diaz deserves better than that.
100%.
And here's the scarier part. He gets to then judge and rewarded after that the next fight, the main event for the evening.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. And you know what? That calls into question now, if you want to go down that road, bud. I thought he did a much better job in the main event. So now that questions, because D'Amato used to say, when you get these judges that are really that far, there could only be 2 things. It can't be, it can't be 100 different things. It could be 2 things, either incompetence or corruption. And so then it starts to say, well, wait a minute. He was competent in the main event. Was he playing favorites in the co-feature? Was that, touching on that corruption area where it was just giving it to the guy that he wanted to win? It starts to open up a whole Pandora's box that really I don't want to open up right now, but how do you avoid it if you're going to do an honest show here and these things come up? I mean, you can't avoid them. So Prograis look like a guy who's a little, he's at the point he's at in his career where his legs aren't as sturdy as they used to be. Diaz was never a big puncher, busy guy, Olympian, terrific amateur, world champion, former world champion, but a busy guy, but not a big puncher. He kept hurting. I mean, the rounds that Prograis kept range and was able to get off at range, he was ahead in those rounds until Diaz hurt him. And I would say Diaz hurt him in 4 different rounds. I think that's fair. I didn't keep a scorecard, but somewhere along there. And that made it for a really, really tight fight because the criterion of professional scoring is supposed to be who does the most damage. Really, I mean, who lands the more consequential punches? And you could say there were rounds where Diaz won the rounds, he landed the more consequential punches. He might not have landed more, but he landed the harder quality, damaging blows. And Prograis, as much as you could say his chin looks like it's, it's obviously not up to par, but I think it's more the legs. I mean, you can see the legs affected, and also where he got hit. He was getting hit behind the ear. He was getting hit on the temple. Those are tough spots, even if you have a good chin. Those are tough spots, so give him a little leeway with that. You get hit behind the ear. I give credit to the experienced Diaz. He realized he was hit behind the ear, and he kept going to it. He kept going. And this was a perfect example of geography I talk about, is so important in boxing. The guy who controlled the outside had to be Prograis to win. And the guy who controlled the inside had to be the shorter arm Diaz to win. And when Diaz was on the geography of the inside, he won. When he was on the outside, Prograis was winning those areas. So at the end of the day, really, really terrific fight. As great a job as it was by the fighters, poor job by the doctor. Poor job. I'm glad it didn't interfere with the fight at the end of the day, and poor job by that one judge. Put his name out there again, bud, because really this is like the cigarettes. You got to put the warning on the cigarette label. Warning, Surgeon General says this could be risky to your health, smoking these guys. Well, having this guy at ringside judging a fight can be risky to a fighter's health. What's his name, bud?
Mike Fitzgerald.
Yeah, Fitzgerald. Oh, boy. Oh, man.
But credit to the matchmaker there, and again, Golden Boy, we got an incredible fight. This could be a Fight of the Year contender. It was an all-out slugfest. Diaz is now 2-7 in his last 9 fights. Prograis back in the win column, snaps a 2-fight losing streak. They're talking about the rematch. We've said enough on this one and covered it thoroughly. I like to maybe see some of these guys go into a happy retirement soon, but nonetheless, credible fight, great heart displayed by both guys. And that will take us to the main event there. And 140 pounders as well. We had Oscar Duarte versus Kenneth Sims. And another really, really good fight. Duarte trained by Robert Garcia. You know what you're going to get. That aggression, come forward style, pressure. He doesn't waste anything. Everything is a fastball. There's no change-ups. All big shots. He loads up on some of them. And what you just said on the last fight, a geography, when there was some space, Sims had some of his moments. From the outside, looking to counter, placing shots. This fight had some really, really close rounds. And in the end, it was an extremely close fight. Could have been a draw as well. Duarte closed the show, and I think that was the difference why I agree with the decision going to him. But if Sims wins that last round, we would have had a draw. In the end, Duarte gets the win by majority decision in the hometown of Sims in Chicago. What'd you make of this one?
I agree with you 100%, bud. You put it out there. You put it out there like you do for your son, the T-ball. Well, your son's past T-ball now. He's ready for the major leagues. He's a good hitter. He's a good hitter. He is. He's wiry. Man, I don't want to get off track, but I can't help it with my grandchildren. He's tall. He's wiry. He's explosive. He's athletic. Man, he's a good baseball player. I asked him the other day. We were together. We spent a nice day together. I said, what's your best sport? He said tennis. I was like, whoa, all right, tennis. But meanwhile, you told me baseball. He's a good hitter. He's got a good hand-eye coordination. But he's got something that's similar to boxers. When boxers are wiry, when they're long and lean, they get power. When baseball players are long and lean, like a Darryl Strawberry, like a Dave Kingman, I don't know if people remember those guys, but those kind of guys, they get power. Even like a pitcher like Randy Johnson, they get power. They get torque, and it's similar, And at the end of the day, you, like I said, you put it right on the tee to hit it off. We could have had 2 draws. I wouldn't have had a problem with 2 draws. I know nobody wants draws, and especially 2 of them. It would have been the co-feature and the feature being 2 draws. Some people would have, poo-pooed that. I wouldn't have. Why? Because they were great fights, and you can make an argument both that nobody really deserved to lose. I think in the one we're talking about now, the main event, I think Duarte edged it out. I think that he earned it at the end, the way that he finished. You know, it was really close going into that last round. He finished strong. I think it's a win either way for Sims. Duarte's more known as a fighter, obviously. That's one of the reasons he was a huge favorite going in, or not a huge favorite, but he was a favorite. But Sims is known now that he can fit in as a solid fighter. He can fit in with good fighters because he showed that. So his stock rises. Either way, he wins in that way. And that's important. That's an important way, that his stock rises. And he will get bigger fights because of that. And he'll get his chance now to do it in future fights. If he thinks he was wronged, which he does, he'll get a chance to right that wrong in the future. Again, I thought Duarte, the harder, more effective punches, impactful punches, especially the way he closed his show, gave him a little edge, but really close. I love Sims. Again, geography. When Sims was on the outside, he had the edge. Quicker hands, little bit longer arms, his style. His style physically, mentally, set up to fight more on the outside. Duarte's style, mentally, physically, stocky, strong, set up to fight on the inside. They both did good body work. Duarte got credit for it. I don't know if they gave a credit enough to your point, bud, because you're pretty sharp. You told me while we were watching, you said, I don't know if they're giving Sims enough credit. He's doing some good placement to the body, too. And he was. He was placing punches nice. Again, he had the little edge on the outside when Duarte trapped him on the ropes. When Duarte got into when he got in the trenches, he that's where he wants to be. That is his wheelhouse. There's no doubt about it. But I'll give you this. I understand why Sims wasn't afraid to go inside with him, because with his faster hands, his shorter punches, a little shorter, obviously, than Duarte's, he was able to counter in between some of those shots inside. He had moments. I'm not saying he had more moments than Duarte on the inside, but he had moments. He had moments with his quick hands and those short little snappy punches. Did some nice work, whether it was the left hook or whatever it was, or the uppercut on the inside. It was a terrific fight. I would have liked to see Duarte, being the pressure fighter he is, use his jab more. Pressing behind the jab always helps. As I used to say when I was, one of my signature things I would say that I made popular when I was doing ESPN was put bugs on the windshield. When you're pressing, come behind the jab. Put bugs on the windshield. Make it hard for the guy on the outside to see you coming, And I would love to see Duarte learn to feint a little bit. When you're aggressive like that, they know you're coming. They believe you're coming. Feint you're coming. And they're going to react to that feint. And you can get them off position, off balance. Sometimes you can do things off of a feint when you're an aggressive fighter if you learn to feint right. Robert Garcia again. No shock. Who's in the corner of the winner? Robert Garcia, one of the top trainers there is right now. I would say, is it unfair for me to say right now the two top trainers in the game are Andy Lee and Robert Garcia? Is that I know Freddie Roach is there always, but I think that's fair, right?
I think that is it right now. I think Robert Garcia just did get last year's Trainer of the Year award, and I would say the front runner right now for next year's has to be Andy Lee.
Yeah, I agree. And again, just the last thing I'll put a bow on this with, Bud, and I know we touched on it a little bit. It makes, and you're the one who brought it up to me a little bit, where I think it makes Ryan Garcia. I know Ryan Garcia is in a mess of mess right now, with his career, with his life. We do nothing but pray for everybody to be okay, to get to a better place. But we're just talking strictly boxing right now. I think that it makes that win that Garcia had when he came back from his loss, it makes that win, his loss to Tank Davis. Yeah, it makes that win against Duarte, that stoppage, that late stoppage win against Duarte, it makes it that more impressive because Duarte has done some impressive stuff since then. He's made himself a player. And he's a good, solid fighter. So is Sims. Good, solid fighter. They both have very specific styles. But that has to look like, and you're the one who said it, so I never steal from nobody, and I'm definitely not stealing from my son. I'm not going to start doing that. But you're the one who said that makes, other than a Haney fight, which is tainted, it's tainted. So we got to put an asterisk next to that, but we got to be fair.
You're saying a win. That's not a win on his record right now.
So that's fair. I would say that the most impressive win so far for Ryan Garcia is probably the Duarte fight. Having seen Duarte the way we've seen him since that fight, since he lost to Ryan Garcia, because we really didn't know who Duarte was up to that point. We just knew that he was a guy who had a good record. So, and it was aggressive from everything we heard about him. So, I think that Duarte and Sims both did themselves good. They did themselves good. They did themselves proud the way they behaved and acted like fighters and the position they're in for bigger fights.
No, absolutely. I agree with that 100%. That win is more impressive than the Luke Campbell win from Ryan Garcia, in my opinion, against Duarte, like you just said. And you touched on one of your famous sayings during Friday Night Fights, putting bugs on the windshield. These guys were putting water in the basement, and especially Duarte. It's relentless, the hooks to the body. And I, like you said, I'm very impressed with Sims. He didn't lose. I want to see him fight again. Hopefully, maybe we do get the rematch with these two guys in the near future. But nonetheless, another great fight. And again, great job by Golden Boy Promotions. 2 back-to-back solid fights. Really good fights on this card.
Yeah. One thing I say about Golden Boy Promotions, really, and I think that in some ways, it parallels Oscar's career early on coming up. Terrific amateur gold medalist, the whole thing, where we see a lot of these guys get babied early on. Oscar wasn't really babied. Oscar was put in with some pretty good fighters. So was Sugar Ray Leonard, but I'm going off track there. Stay with Oscar. Oscar was put in, I remember when he fought John Molina, I was like, wow, they're putting him in with him already? Wow. A really good fighter, former world champion, the whole thing. I think John Molina, I think he might have been an Olympian from Puerto Rico too, but whatever, real good fighter. Oscar does that with his promotion. He doesn't really, you got to give him credit. They don't baby these guys. You could say they make mistakes too. You could say that they put them in with some fights where it didn't go so well, where maybe they should have been put in with that fight at that point. But they when they think it's the right time, they put them in with fights that are going to form them. Fights that the public wants to see, but fights that maybe the fighters need. That they need to become better fighters. And there's no doubt that I think, again, it might be a parallel to Oscar wasn't babied as a fighter and as a promoter for the most part. He realizes the benefit of not babying these guys. Again, you don't want to throw them in the ocean when they're coming out of the wading pool. But at the same time, there comes a time that you do have to go in the deep end. Especially when you've had 200 amateur fights and blah, 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 whatever. And you don't have to fight the cannon fodder that sometimes we see these guys being fed. So credit to Oscar in that way. He does, he gets knocked for different things. I want to give him credit for the things that they should also get credit for. And that's it. I think that we covered those fights pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. Oscar Duarte, 29 years old, in the top 5, the 140-pound division. And we'll keep tabs. Hopefully we get that rematch next because that was a fun fight to watch. That wraps up all the boxing coverage. Before we move on to close out the show with some UFC coverage for our MMA fans, just want to give a quick pause and thank those guys, Athletic Greens. Athletic Greens introduces the new AG1 Next Gen. Now includes 5 clinically studied probiotic strains shown to support digestive and immune health with added vitamins and minerals. They've also now have new travel pack designs resulting in a much easier pour to improve the customer experience. So whether you guys are looking to boost your energy levels, support your immune system, or address gut health, Athletic Greens is the way to go. Simply visit athleticgreens.com/atlas to claim your special offer of 10 free travel packs with your first purchase. All right, but to wrap it up, UFC Fight Night Las Vegas. We had Tatsuro Taira vs. HyunSung Park flyweights. This one, he did not waste any time, Taira. Immediately in the first round, 2 big right hands sends Park to the ground. Complete control and domination on the ground. And then he picks up where he left off in round 2, puts him right on the ground, works his submission, cranks on the neck, and he gets his submission. Second round win. Extremely impressive. What'd you make of this one?
Very impressed, but was it Park or Parks? I want to make sure I'm...
It was Park.
Yeah, Park. You know, he Park. I'm sorry. Excuse me. You have to excuse me. That was... I couldn't help it. That was just too easy. That's right there. Talk about layups. But first of all, started off, gave me a little look at his striking. He's balanced. His feet are under him. He's explosive. He's got fast hands, and he's in position to punch, and he's got good eyes. What does he do? He times a right hand over the jab of Park, and he scores with that, and then what does he do? First, like I said, he notices that Park's throwing that jab a little too slow, a little too close. He times it with the right hand beautifully, hurts him, and then what's he do? He steps, takes a little step up, follows Park a little bit, and then he leads with the right hand before Park could get off again and hits him with another clean right hand on the chin and drops Park, gets him on the floor. So his striking ability right off the bat caught my eye. I was like, wow. Now let me see if he can do the other stuff, which, of course, most people already knew because he's been around the block a little bit, even though he's only 25 years old. And that's part of what I'm so impressed with him. He's only 25. He's calm, he's cool, he's collected. And then he gets the takedown in the second round. He gets him on the floor, and he shows those skills. Whether it's grappling, jiu-jitsu, whatever you want to call it, and then he gets the choke out. I don't know the exact technical term. You might know it for exactly what the hold was at the end. But all I know is you don't have to be complicated. He choked him out. He got the choke, and he tapped him out. Very impressive. I was watching the way he worked at getting position with his legs, with his hand placement, on the floor. Even the gamble, the nerve, the confidence to when he was on top, when he was piggybacking him. And then he took him to the floor and took the risk, which Brisbane even pointed out. The great Brisbane pointed out those commentators are so good. They really are. UFC, I don't think there's any better. But he went to his back. He fell and hit his back, taking him down. But it was a calculated move. It was the right move. He knew he could do it. And then not that long after it, he gets the submission. Everything I saw about Taira is just, it yells at you, future star. It just screams at you, future star. And he beat an undefeated fighter. And we know if you're undefeated, even if it's 10-0, you're undefeated in the UFC. You've been tested a little bit because everyone gets tested. There are no gifts in the UFC. Everybody gets put in. And the last thing I'll say is that I think his one loss served him. His last fight, his one loss to a solid UFC fighter. A
Brandon
top guy.
Royval. Yeah, absolutely.
A top guy, bud. I think that's what I like. I think that's when a loss becomes a win. Sometimes you got to lose to win. And that's what the young fighters, the young managers, they got to understand that sometimes in boxing now, especially, we're too afraid to put the guys in where instead of being like a 80-20 fight or a 90-10 fight or even a 70-30 fight, where it becomes like a 55-45 fight. We're afraid to do it, even though it's going to benefit the fighter. We say, yeah, he does need to get tested. Yeah, he needs to get that fight under his belt to let him know he can depend on himself. But you're afraid to do it because you don't want to get a L, because you think it's a death sentence. It's not a death sentence. It's a life sentence. It's a sentence for life. To have more life afterwards, to be better, to have a better life, to learn things that you can have a better life, that you can be a better fighter with, to learn what you have to learn at that time to be the best fighter you can be, to get questions answered that you haven't had answered yet, that the fighter, it don't matter what the trainer thinks, it don't matter what the manager, what the promoter thinks, the fighter has to think, yeah, I can depend on myself. Yeah, I belong at that level. And you have to take a chance at the right time to get, it's a L versus a W, but really it's not. That's just visual stuff. That's window dressing. You know, what really matters is what it does for the fighter. That experience, even if he gets an L and he's competitive and it's a good fight and he learns what you want him to learn, it's not really an L. It's the fight that's going to get him over the hump. It's the fight that's going to get him to the place you want to get to. And I think that Taira got the benefit from his last fight where he got his first loss. I think that showed in this fight. It has helped make him a complete fighter where he's ready now. He's ready now for all the big boys.
Couldn't agree more. You nailed that one. Number 6 flyweight in the world, Taira, heading in. Only going to go up higher in the rankings, getting closer to a title shot, the flyweight division. And he might have to get past a good friend of yours and the show, Brandon Moreno, the former world champion, to earn that title shot. But nonetheless, extremely impressive. And I look forward to watching much more of him in future fights. So with that being said, bud, this wraps up this weekend's fights for the UFC coverage and the boxing. We'll be back, as always, next week. Be on the lookout for all of our fight content coming up in Teddy's historic list. And before I sign off, bud, any final words?
Yeah, basically 2 things. First, just to follow off the list, we put up the greatest punches, and it did really well. I mean, it got huge views last week. And listen, I've said it before. I stand by what I say. We'll keep doing it. We're only doing it because you guys asked for it. And when you come out and you watch it to the level that you watch Greatest Punches, and it was a lot, we're going to keep doing it. As long as you like it, we'll do it. We're not doing it if you don't want it. And you want it, you show us by obviously, clicking and viewing. We'll keep going. My son's the one who told me we got to do these lists. You guys have been asking for these lists. So we're giving them to you. And so far it looks like you're eating them up. You're eating them up. We want to keep feeding you. We want to keep feeding you. We want to make sure. We don't want you to get fat, but we want to, we want to keep you satisfied. So we're going to keep feeding you. As long as you keep eating, you got the appetite, we'll keep feeding it. But this week, I'll tell you what it's going to be. Just to whet your appetite for it. It's what you asked for. My son tells me what you asked for, then he gives me my orders, and I go and I put it together. Greatest trainers in boxing history. It's an interesting list. It's an interesting subject. Greatest trainers in boxing history. So look forward to it. I hope you guys enjoy it. And as I started the show, I ended. My love to all of you because of the love that you gave to me and my family, and you constantly do, especially at times that sometimes, are a little bit difficult, more difficult than normal times. And you were there asking about me for the surgery and with the birthday, and I thank you for me and my family. Appreciate you guys, and God bless all of you.
As always, thank you for joining. Please like, comment, subscribe. We'll be back with you next week.